listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour, and let us help you to experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I awakened with wolves. When I met a wolf, it talked to me just as people talk, and they taught me about the energy of the heart. I can intuitively hear plants, animals, and people, and I became an intuitive healer and writer as a result. You can find me at onetrueself.com. So I have some exciting guests for you, Francesca Rose and David Starr. Welcome. I'm so glad to be with you. And we're here today on the strawberry moon, which is a particularly harmonious moon. So I'm going to begin by asking Francesca, I know that you were very young when you began your spiritual journey. Why don't you tell us about that and how you became an intuitive who helps other people unlock their spiritual gifts?
Well, I was definitely born with all my clairs turned on. I have them all heightened, and I was very empathic, and I had my foot in many worlds, and I was always interdimensionally traveling, even as a child, always in the fairy realm, the angelic realm. It was really hard for me to even focus on reality because I was always somewhere else. And I remember at the age of 5, I was very into magic, casting spells in the backyard, and I had never watched anything. Because I have a Catholic background, that would be me casting spells, but I knew like we had a magic inside of us, and I communicated with angels. And I remember as a child seeing my guardian angel, and my mom had lost a diamond, and my guardian angel told me where to find it, and I found it like in a crack in a wall. And I knew then like there was definitely something I was communicating with that others weren't, because it wasn't talked about in my family until I was 12. I saw a ghost floating over my bed, and it flew into my brother's room, and we both screamed at the same time. So I knew I wasn't crazy anymore. I was like, okay, I'm really seeing like the other world. And when I was young, I had started writing. I was really into poetry, and I could always read everybody and they'd be telling me one thing, but I really knew what they were saying and thinking. And I went into the beauty industry, and people would just come and see me because I was counseling them. And like I had always counseled all my friends and everybody, and I'd make people cry all the time because I tell them exactly what they needed to hear. And I had another huge spiritual awakening where I always channeled. I always say, I don't like to think. I just like listen and whatever flies out. And I said, that's my ADD, a dimensional diver. So my channeling just got like very, very heightened. And I started writing everything down and helping everybody, and started writing books and doing spiritual counseling, teaching my Omni Goddess masterclass. And from there, we did the book, and just books keep coming out of me, flying out of me. And so now I'm still half in the beauty industry and half in the spiritual realm, but I'm starting to not have time for the beauty industry because I'm always so busy counseling, spiritual counseling, and writing and channeling.
That's wonderful. So, David, tell us about yourself.
Well, I grew up in the typical star seed fashion, kind of a quasi abusive growing up, difficult surroundings, and I always had a comforting voice in my head, telling me things are going to get better. Don't worry. It was this female voice, angel guide, I feel. But then I got cracked open literally at the age of 10, near-death experience, and I was taken into my star consciousness, which is in another galaxy. It may be the Andromedan because it had a lot of pink and purple galaxy light with all these stars, and I was brought into this like golden light star that I'm connected to, and to this memory of showing me my life. And the long and the short of it is they showed me 20 years of my life. At the time I was 10. And so when I came back into consciousness, because I sustained 144 stitches to my head,
Wow.
and I took back this memory now all of a sudden of me choosing my life. And then from the ages of 10 to 20, I was in constant deja vu because there was very clear memories that I had seen in choosing the life that happened between 10 and 20. And so I knew throughout those years that there's more than one life, that we choose our life, that we have a connection to the stars. And um, then when I was 17, I had a huge awakening and started connecting with angels, and eventually because of the frequencies that was shooting out of me, and I was connecting up and I was shooting out of my body. Somehow I just remembered how to do out of body experience, and I would land on ships or in other dimensions. It was really strange. Like what would happen is this current started going over like a field, like a plasmic field, by boosting my energy, and then I would create like this electric charge and shoot off like gone. And so then I'd end up on ships, and then I'm just, next thing you know, I'm talking to like a Palladian who's telling me about my life and what's going to happen and people I'm going to meet around the world. And then I also had other holographic extraterrestrials who would project themselves holographically into my room at the moment or right before I go to sleep. And so I'd see them, I'd be in my room, I'd see myself lying down, I'd see everything in my room, and I'd see them, and we'd have conversations, and they would show me things like how the history was rewritten, how there's a group of people that are trying to enslave the human race. And so this is at 17 years old. And
That's a
so then,
lot.
yeah, yeah. But I continued on the path, and everything led into understanding unity consciousness, universal consciousness, and it just kept expanding. And they gave me a lot of information in my dreams. And I carried that through music. And so I was starting to write a lot of music. I was in a band for about 10 years, and it was always about unity, love-based, um, the higher consciousness, the celestials, the aliens, and everybody coming together in this unified voice through my music. And it was always uplifting, inspirational, and out of this world. Uh, my guides told me to kind of take a break from my spiritual path when I was about 27 because I was obsessed.
Hmm.
I was just, everything was metaphysics for me, and getting all this ancient information. And by the time 2019 rolled around, I heard the voice of God say to me, now is the time. You have to find the star seeds. And I'm like, find the star seeds. I'm like, what is it going to be, like this magic group on Facebook of star seeds? And I kind of laughed, and I'm like, maybe I will search it. And boom, there's like all of these groups. And I just started finding my soul family and connecting it in. And then I really did the deep dive in my consciousness, and the guide team showed me that I'd become a channeler. Eventually I channeled all these higher consciousness courses, and that's what I do for my work these days. In addition to myself and
Yeah, and I'm going
Francesca.
to ask
Yeah.
you about the classes a little later on in
Hmm.
our talk. Why don't you tell our listeners about your book first, though? The book that you two wrote together?
Yeah, it's right here. It's called Your Higher Power Book, and it's accessing your divine gifts. It's beautifully illustrated. I'll just find a nice picture. It shows about the chakra systems, how to do sacred space, connecting to your guides, connect how to breathe into your chakra systems, and shadow work, which is a really quick way of lifting your frequency, how to ground and anchor your gifts, connecting with the crystalline kingdoms, and um, this one's a beautiful one. It's how to connect to tree source. And so you can see the heart energy going into the tree and grounding in. And it all of these things that the guides have shown me, I live and breathe it. Like when we were out in Mount Shasta, I was connecting to a tree in the big redwood forest, and I asked, it was like the prince of trees, the prince of the whole forest, this magnificent tree. It even had this mane of leaves. It was just amazing. And so I put just like in the book, put my hand on the tree, sent my heart energy to it, and I asked the tree why we were here. And he said, you are here to connect to my oversoul. He said, trees have oversouls as well, just like humans do. And when you connect to my oversoul, it's going to be all of the souls of this that are governing over all of the trees in the redwood forest, which are these ancient trees, 2 to 3,000 years old. And then he said, once you do that, you're going to call in all my protectors, all of my guardians. They're going to activate you, and that will open up the doors of Lemuria. So we did this meditation. We did it exactly as the tree said. And this is all shown in the book here, how to do that. And then when we went to sleep that night, the same golden chair. So I saw this golden fairy with my 2 eyes by the tree before we did the activation. And then when we did the activation, the golden fairy went right into my third eye. She started activating us. And we actually have the golden fairy on the video. I showed it to you earlier.
Yeah.
But this golden fairy took me out of my body when I went to sleep, like the Galactics do. It was crazy. Usually the Galactics will take me out, and I'm on a ship all of a sudden. First time ever a fairy's done this, and she came with 2 other fairies, and they brought me into Lumeria, and they brought me in to gather all the highest inner Earth frequencies to bring forward through, not just for myself, but for all of those on my path, and to help out with inner Earth integration, because it's like a crystalline dimension, basically like a
Because
higher
frequencies are being turned on right now for us to go to a higher level, and we can't really access them unless we have some help with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why we, like myself and Francesca, we've been collaborating for over 6 years. We met and we put in a whole lot of knowledge that we live and breathe as consciousness teachers and just embodied conscious people, basically, and channeling.
Yeah,
How do you
so
channel? Yeah.
let me tell them a little bit about the oversoul. For a long time, like 5 or 6 years, I spent a tremendous amount of time growing medicinal herbs. Well, I figured that out, that a group of herbs would all communicate. And the interesting thing was that if I got seeds and started growing these plants, they would grow out in the yard. It would be a different species, but they would appear in that same half of an acre. And that happened again and again. And they said that when you focus, the plant spirit picks up on that. And so it's trying to help you and bring in whatever it can that's local.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, we're so much more than seeds. I mean, consciousness, intention, and focus, and connecting to the
Well, when you give them
yeah,
attention, see the nature spirits and the trees and the plants are not really getting any attention right now.
so true. It's so
Everybody's
true.
saying, "Oh, everything's dying. Let's stop destroying our planet." But no one says, "I'm going to go sit with this plant for 15 minutes."
Hmm.
Well, got a great example on a one-to-one session in a heart-based reality structure. There was an avian being, and the avians they can go in the water or land and everything, and they had their house structured inside of like a wooded forest area, and she was showing how she sings to her plants and how she sits and she talks to her plants and asks them questions like, what would make you happy or what would bring you more love. And this avian's house vibrated at a love that just does not exist here on earth. It was just pure love. As soon as you connected into the house, you were completely in this bliss and utopia, euphoric energy. And because she cared so much. And so then when she was talking to the flowers and the beans in the garden, and she asked what it could I do more that would bring you even more happiness. And they said, well, when it rains and it's cloudy, we're a little bit down. Could you play some music when it's raining? And she started like playing music during these casts, and it just lifted up their spirits because they weren't getting that same love frequency from the sun because it was cloudy, but they
Yeah.
got this love frequency from the music, and their
Hmm.
souls were singing, and then it just vibrates the rest of the house. And so the relationship with plants, trees, and nature, it needs to be explored in a very wide capacity on Earth because it's really not being
Yeah.
explored.
I'm almost through with it. I was going to do it for the full moon. I guess I'll be through this afternoon, but I started channeling from the wolves. I mean, they know everything from the beginning of time, but they were telling me that frequencies that we had in the beginning have not been available in a long time, but they're starting to get activated now. Like on the full moon, when the whales, the dolphins, the coyotes, the wolves, who am I leaving out here? I said whales, but anyway. Oh, orcas. Okay, I see you. Um, when they all start making sounds together, there's a new vibration that's coming in. You know how manifesting, for example, is like visualize, get in your heart, focus, focus, focus on it. They said the reason that it's taken so much effort is because we've been missing a vibration.
Mhm. That makes complete sense. And it's funny you mentioned that because we just did an event and David was doing the whale sounds, with bringing that back to activate that frequency
Yeah.
into
Yeah,
the
from the
collective.
Lumeria, from like we were
Yeah.
brought into Lumeria into this white whale that was like this royal whale of Lumeria, and it had like a whole place where it would be like basically praise and connecting. The Lumerians and the whales can speak to each other, and they do. And so they got us to bring in the Lumerian whale frequency because in the whale song it carries all these octaves and
Right.
frequencies, and so as it was
Well, as the
channeling
wolf
through.
said, if it's sonar and it's coming from nature, it's good. If it's a sonic sound. Yeah.
Yes, not a submarine sonar.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just interesting that you're talking about that when I've only been working with it for a couple days, but you're getting the same messages.
Yeah, I was like, why is this whale coming through? I mean, what am I supposed to do? And then I was like, okay, what are people going to think when I start making whale sounds on a live event? I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to go with it.
Hmm. And it works. So,
Yeah.
Francesca, what would you add to that?
To
What we're
what?
talking about with new frequencies that are
Oh,
suddenly coming
oh, there's
available.
there's there's so many coming online because we're actually like resurrecting the God template, the real source God template, because we've cleared out so much consciousness barriers. And I think it's because of people like us talking online. We've just exchanged so many codes and information in the spiritual community that we're clearing out all the false narratives, and we're getting back into our God consciousness
There's
and getting
room
our
for
power
them.
back.
You're saying
Yeah,
there's room for them. Enough fear and anger have cleared out, so there's room for them.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I'm going to ask in your very beautiful book that has so many really good exercises, where would you say that people should start?
If they start at the end of the book, no, I'm just kidding. You know, I say this with my courses too, not to think of it in linear, because there are people that have their own sacred space rituals and everything like that. And you might just look at the table of contents and want to go right into channeling, right into shadow work, right into this. Let your soul guide you, and then flip right to that. Basically, if something is jumping out at you that is like super interesting and you're like, oh, go to that first.
Yeah, whatever feels loud.
Hmm.
Yeah, I do that too. I say in classes, just go with the feeling. And then if you remember something about it later, go back and find that part and learn that exercise or think about it, but don't worry about it while it's going on. Just get into the energy.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what's exciting the soul.
Hmm
Let's keep the soul excited because it keeps opening up the heart and this and the power that you really have, that everybody really has. It's just
We have
everybody's
to
just so
remember, or at least the heart has to open to the point that it begins to compel you to remember.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, I saw on Facebook that you have a Divine Union workshop on July 20th. And one thing that sounded so cool to me is you said you were going to share Venus codes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're channeling a lot, me and David, we're channeling a lot of Venusian energy, and it's a surprise, but we we have a lot coming in to restore divine blueprints for divine unions collectively. And we're starting with the divine union workshop, but it's very intense. Like every day we're channeling stuff for it, so it's going to take a month because we have a lot of new information coming in. And today I actually had Martian energy coming in. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and
Hmm
it made sense to me, like that they would come in, and it was Father God energy. But we were talking about restoring, the template, the original template of cavemen, about, the chase, they're, just
Right.
trying to like survive and killing animals. And then that's how it evolved with like men and women now, like, there's games and the chase and everything, and we're restoring it back to divinity where there's no games, you're just in the love frequency in the heart.
Right. Because I know it was that way when we first got here. But I think a lot of the cavemen stuff went on before we arrived. And so it somehow or other got transferred or
Yes,
played
we're
up.
going we're going deep with this one.
Yeah, it's about a lot thinking things in terms of like collective consciousnesses and patterns that keep
Right.
people hiding, keep people not open, that keep people insecure and just so that they can be completely open with their partners and have this love blossom and not hiding behind these illusionary things, because that's how you're supposed to, you know,
We're
um,
all supposed to have a very attractive mask that we project.
Mhm.
right,
The thing
right.
is it's exhausting. So, I mean, sooner or later, you're going to drop it, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and eventually people do, and then but they end up like attracting these different lessons and stuff because of this inner wounding and everything. So in our workshop, there's like pre-videos for healing different types of like narcissistic things that you've ever been involved with across all of your cycles of time. You want to clear all of that out, like root trauma, like relationship issues that are like wounded lessons that keep repeating and cycling because nobody needs this in the new earth energies
No,
anymore.
we're going to
You,
have to go to break, but let's come back and talk about that some more because I think getting through patterns is something that's just so incredibly important right now. So, everyone, we're going to break. I'm Julia Griffin. I'm here with David Starr and Francesca Rose. We're talking about getting rid of patterns, illusions, things that repeat in your life. And we're going to talk more about it when we come back. So, stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment. Hello, everyone. This is Julia Griffin, and I am talking with David Starr and Francesca Rose. And we're talking about, I guess, really everything: love codes, their book, different vibrations that are coming into the universe. And we were last talking about patterns and or repetitive events in our lives. And we were talking about how we can get past those because it's almost like erasing and re-recording a tape. Like if we made, like if my dog started barking, we would stop it and go over it before we put it up on the thing for the general public. So we're rewriting those. Francesca, you were talking about that before we went to break.
Yeah, I forget exactly what we were talking about, but I know that with our Divine Union workshop, you can only attract a partner to the level in which you are healed in life. So that's where the patterns come in. If you have wounding that you have not had pulled out, and go back and rewrite your story to make it empowering from what you've been through, you're going to keep attracting the same demonic, lower dimensional energy in different forms of other people that are still in the lower dimensional energy, because they're coming as a divine mirror for you, whether you're um, in union or not. Everybody is a reflection of what's going on in your inner reality. So if you are a person that has so much wounding, you're going to keep having wounded occurrences, wounded people to show you what it is that you need to heal. It's just the way that the
It
earth
works.
realm works.
And
And
how many people have you heard say, I married my father, I married my mother?
it's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a generational curse from not healing your wounds.
And even if we didn't get what we want, we associate that personality with feelings of love. Even when we're not getting love, we still think it works unless you really work to get out of it.
Yeah, it takes work, but
Mm-hmm.
it's rewarding. We have this whole section in the book on shadow work and Akashic records, and it's not hard to do, really. I mean, the easiest thing that doesn't take you to be like the super clairvoyant psychic medium, and you can do it, is you start working on this life and just recognizing, you start from birth and just recognizing the patterns of wounding, how the parents wounded you, and it always comes down to that you didn't get love in the way that you wanted to, the
Wanted
attention
to.
in the way that
Right.
you needed to. And so, but it's simply just going through those points in time and sending them forgiveness. And as you go up to the relationships, start thinking, okay, well, did he cheat on me? Did he talk behind my back? Did he like start messaging my friends? Did he not give me time and attention? Was he ignoring me? All these different things. And then you just connect to your Akashic records. You go in, forgive that within yourself for all the times that you have done that throughout all of your lifetimes, to other partners. And then you do the same thing with forgiving them, completely letting it go. And then, as we describe, you just call in the golden light, which is the love frequency, to fill up all of your aspects throughout all of time. And you'll just feel this huge, like, whew, release. And it will change your belief systems. It will, because it changes your energy, and then you won't attract that in your current life, because you're literally an emanating frequency of all of your lifetimes, and what's happening in this lifetime is a direct reflection of all of the wounding that has not been healed in the other lifetimes.
Which is why a lot of empaths have a hard childhood. They're trying to get through it quickly.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are healing many lines, many ancestral lines, and it's not easy, but we've all come together and we're like, hey, you know what, there's this higher consciousness, we are so much
Well,
more.
it's so much better than the other way around. And I didn't really get into this a lot until my father died. And then he would talk to me all the time from the other side. And one thing that helped me a lot was he showed me how he and my mother and I all came together in consciousness for me to be born to them and what I had inherited from each of them. And I had a lot of problems with my mother. But one of the things he said, you should love her because she gave you a genetic line that you had to have to be an intuitive.
Wow.
Yeah, in the end of the day, we are who we are because of our what we've had to go through, for sure. But now we are coming into a time of ascending the consciousness of ourselves and the planet, and so many people that are so incredibly amazing that have been coming here for many decades, and now it is there's so much information out there, and so you got to ask yourself, what feels good in my heart? What feels right in my heart? Who do I feel aligned with? And start trusting your heart and developing this relationship with the heart, because we just came into an open heart system as of like yesterday, literally, where reality is going to be really supporting love-based consciousness, and everybody who is living it in their heart and really connecting with that, which means if there's something inside of you that you want to create, that you've always wanted to do, whether it's a hobby, a business, a book, to start it. And don't even think about the expectations. Don't even have any expectations, even if you don't sell a million books, right? Keep creating in love. And the greatest love is going to thrive in this new energy system. So it's really important to start connecting with your heart. And
Yeah, I know one morning when I was meditating, I heard so loudly, let the river run through. You know, like this new river of energy. If you let it run through your heart, it will bring in whatever needs to be there.
exactly. And there's no, you can have the most wealthiest people on the planet with the highest bank accounts, but they're not going to necessarily be fulfilled.
No.
There could be like a bottomless pit of not having enough. And when you are flowing from the heart, you are always fulfilled and you're always having enough, and the universe supports you. And it's about your joy and happiness. Is like we gotta the measure of success becomes different. If you're happy all of the time, or a large part of the time, like 95% of the time, you are doing amazing. Because I guarantee you the most richest people in the world are not happy 95% of the time, maybe 60% of the time. But in the end of the day, um, it always comes back to yourself. And are you truly in your love?
I was thinking about, well, actually, it's a dream, but everybody just had on the coolest clothes. You know how everybody wears the same clothes now? They're designer clothes. They're pretty boring to me. But anyway, um, I thought, where did everybody get all these cool clothes? And I heard it's different now. Everybody is creative.
I love that.
I cannot wait for the new fashions to come out, because I was going around looking for like nice colorful shirts and shoes and stuff. And in Manitoba, where I'm from, like everything's like gray or brown or pastel, like really dark, or white. There's no like color, like but
So
of
is
course
everybody's house now.
in women's fashion, there's all these colors, but in men's fashion, I'm telling you, it's hard to find. I had to go like online, and just so that I can wear something that I really feel emanates my aura.
And why would we
Oh,
want to look like everybody else anyway? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I think that's changing a lot. I think that everybody, as they get their God gifts online, I think that everybody is, I've been seeing in people where the majority of their non-physical energy is streaming in through. So, like, if you have a lot of fairy energy streaming in, like me, everything I wear is always floral. And anyone that has like a flower name in their name, like I'm Francesca Rose, I know that they're going to be streaming in a lot of fairy energy because flowers were seeded from the fairy realm originally. And I just think that it's going to be changing based on, because we've broken through the consciousness barriers, we're going to be streaming the energy from all over the godverse, from like cool realms. Like there'll be some people that most of their non-physical energy is galactic, and their outside reality is going to reflect that, or any different like realm. I see the realm influence definitely coming in more online now.
Yeah. So that part should be fun.
Yeah. What
And,
I'm
and
looking forward
and maybe
to.
with a few more classes like the one you're teaching, people will stop marrying people that they have some death oath with. You know, one of them was dying and they said, we'll come back, we'll be together at another time, we'll never be apart. But they were never really supposed to be together in the first place.
Yeah, you have to marry yourself first. That's the
Hmm.
biggest thing. You got to marry all your aspects. You got to marry your divine masculine and feminine energy, because that's where like the initial multiplication of humanity occurred, is when it was multiplied into a masculine and feminine energy. But you need to realize that you're all things, that you house all energies inside of yourself. And once you marry that and you become the awareness that you are God energy, and you know, all this silly stuff like these fashions, like I need a Louis Vuitton, like who cares? You can use your consciousness to go in the fairy realm. Like, what are you people doing? Like,
Yeah.
why are you focusing on this stupid stuff when you are an unlimited source creational being, and like we could bring the absolute coolest stuff online, And I focus in on that, holding space for this world as a container and imagining in my mind the things that are going to come online and interdimensionally traveling to these different realms to harness this energy onto the planet. So there's more reflection in the grids for people to be able to see that we have all these gifts and all these abilities, but like we're focused in on what does this person have? What does this person have? Who cares? You have everything inside of you. Follow like the things that you love and bring them online, because it's just going to be fun for you. Like no one else's gift and ability is going to be as cool as your own gift and ability to yourself.
It'll take a while for that to catch on, but I think it will.
I hope.
Yeah, well, because you're gonna see the higher dimensional beings who are here, who are doing this work, thriving like and supported in the heart-based system, and people are gonna start watching, and it's just gonna be contagious. Because
Well, I mean,
everybody wants love. Everybody wants to love more. They want to be loved more. They want to be loving their life more. And so you're gonna see all these people living that, being the embodiment of that, and you're gonna want to jump on that train because it is a beautiful train to be on.
well, there obviously is enough love on the planet for new codes to be presented, which
Definitely.
to me, that means awakening in the DNA as well.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it's turning crystalline.
hmm So there's
That's
got to be a change there for everything else to be happening.
yeah,
I
we're
ha
evolving and everything in the higher octave evolutions occurring, and it's just things are getting really cool.
hmm
I had a new guide come in last night, and it was an angel guide, and she says she was from the Supreme Councils of life,
Interesting.
and that the angel guides are of this council, and they govern over all life, your life, and all things that are of life on Earth. And she says the heart. She's the one who told me the heart-based system is now online, and because of this, all soul contracts have been rewritten. And so the angels, guides, she was saying they have more sway with the other councils because they have more direct, always in the best interest, and are always working on the soul journey of everything that is life. And because of that, they have a lot of influence with the councils, and so they have rewritten soul journeys for everybody. And these soul journeys then translate into um, the subconscious, which then goes to the subconscious self, where people are going to start doing things that they never had done before, but it's going to lead everybody to peace on earth, the
hmm
eventuality to peace, to love, to tranquility. It's when you write that into your soul, you cannot escape it. So nobody on the planet now can escape what is coming, which is love-based reality. And they're going to be searching because it's like it's on your soul now. So you have no choice. Now you have to find it. And the
It
guides,
feels like more complex. You know, when everybody awakens, you get that huge influx of love and light. You just go zoom up. But then you revisit it. But this is different because it has more qualities, is what I would say. A lot more qualities, what you're talking about.
yeah, because it involves the higher realms, and
hmm
and that like we are living things because we signed up for it, because we agreed to it, and guess what? Your agreements just changed. I mean, some of them will still be there, but now it's the agreements of the open heart system. And everyone is going to be forced to reconcile to find peace. It's going to, your soul is not going to be at peace until you find peace. And so this is, and your soul wants peace. It needs peace. It's written on your soul now to find peace. And so all of these things is going to create a massive paradigm shift. It's so beautiful. I'm so happy to be a part of this whole journey with everybody and to watch it unfold. I mean, of course, it's going to take some years, but it's going to be
Yeah.
really fun to watch it unfold.
Francesca, what is your take on that?
I think that we collectively agreed that we had enough of the suffering and the lower dimensional
And the repeat
paradigms.
pattern.
And, you know, in this earth realm, majority rules. And I think because of the information spreading, we realized we have the power to choose that we're going in to this open heart God system where we take our power back. We're in our God power, in our God consciousness, and we don't have to accept this crap anymore. And we're going into the cool reality where we anchor in heaven on earth. And you know what God wants for everybody? Everybody to have their highest dream. And that's what's happening. We're all collectively, we decided, you know what, we've had enough suffering. We have experienced enough duality. We're integrating that duality. We're not forgetting it. We're not gonna forget what we've been through, because we create higher love energies with the contrast. Because I always use the comparison. If we were all little like brats floating on clouds, we'd still be in the heaven realm, like where everything's at peace. We came here because it's Mount Everest of the God verse out of any universal structure, to forget who you are, to forget your divinity and your connection, and to come here and clear all this crazy stuff and to ascend day by day out of we cleared the lowest dimensions of hell, thinking that we die. And that, I think that's the biggest core wound, thinking that we die and not realizing that we're unlimited source creational beings. And that's where the fear and where people's heart shut down, because they're so afraid to lose the people they love. So they never open up their hearts fully to the amount that they can love people. Because if you love too hard, if you love too much, if you give your all and put yourself out there, one day, if you get that reciprocation of love back and you lose that person, how are you going to go on? How are you going to go on? But we realize we're unlimited source creational beings, and we'll be with them connected forever, for eternity. So now we were able to go in the open hearted system and majority ruled, like we're going into good times.
Right.
Woohoo, let's go.
I'm
I know.
ready. I've been ready.
I know some people are going to say, okay, so what about death? How does that affect it?
Death it's an illusion, just like anything else. Our body is our vessel, and it's just like changing ships. You're going from one adventure to the next. You take your soul with you. You take all your adventures with you when you're experiencing individuality is God. Like we're all just different versions of God, but we're all God energy. And so if we choose to keep our soul signature, which is our travels as an individual wave of the ocean, but we're also the whole ocean in a wave. And so we
And I
take
mean,
all,
even where we are at this point, which is certainly not the high vibration we all want to get to, if someone dies, they're just in the other room.
exactly.
It's not like they're gone.
Yeah, we all talk to the people that have passed. People don't realize that unless you're a medium. Like I talk to everybody that's passed in my whole family. My ancestors are assisting me, and they'll direct me on what to do. Like whoever I choose to guide me, I can call on whoever I want. If I want to call on Venetians or Martians or Pleiadians or ancestors or angels or fairies, they're just a call away. And that's because I've kept my heart fully open. And that's where everybody's going to get to, where you realize there's a whole panel, a whole team that you have inside of yourself that you can communicate and interface with. But, right now, it's not online for everybody. And that's what we're trying to do with this book and our other books, is to open up people's minds.
And their
hearts.
hearts.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, we have to say that.
Yes.
For sure.
Because if people can feel their hearts, things start to change.
And most people don't realize that your heart sends more signals to your brain than your brain sends to your heart. So imagine the power contrast when you start working with your heart to give the right information with your brain, instead of letting your brain make your heart worry and panic and fear and stuff. So instead, let your heart love and create and send all those messages to the brain, because it's sending, even though there's less neurological connections that the heart has than the brain, the heart is like a mini brain, and it's sending more messages to the brain than the
Connected to
brain
the
sending.
universe. That's where we get our information from the universe, is through the heart.
Exactly. I was just trying to explain it from like a Like
And
get
that's
out of the
called,
head, you get into the
yeah.
heart because there's so much more there.
And it helps too, just not to think about it too much, just to go, okay, I heard that. We'll see what happens. That's cool.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah.
of, I heard this is an intuition. When is it going to happen? You can't think it to death like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go into my reality every day, like what cool things are gonna show up in my world, in my structure, and I'm just open to anything that's of the highest God code that wants to come in and present itself in my reality. I don't think to the future. I know that some people do, but I just live in the present and I just focus on loving now and having love come into my reality and what is born on that wave of consciousness.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, with your guides, and as you start developing your gifts and connecting in your heart and connecting to your guides, what you'll find is like you don't have to do it in every single moment of every single day, but when you need it, when you need that guidance, when you're especially in critical moments of decisions for your life, and because you're not alone, so when you get rid of the illusion, you're not alone. That you got angels and masters and angelic guides inside of your heart chakra that you just breathe in and you can start channeling and connect to, which of course we always teach and train. Then you just ask them to provide some higher guidance, some higher wisdom, and it becomes this co-creational relationship. You're not alone, and then it's very important to trust that guidance, and it feels right in the heart, and to follow through with that. That's when the real magic happens. It's
Yeah, we're
like
running out of time, but I want
Mhm.
to add, David and Francesca were in my summit, which you can still find in my store if you're very interested. But they gave so much interesting information, but every single person in there who was really connected said, I have to meditate so many times a day now. I'm like, yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
Just to get out of the stream of humanity, let's say it that way, and
yeah,
back into me. And so if that's what you're needing to do, it's fine. Okay, so we told them about your Divine Union workshop on the 20th, and I think you're both available for readings and they can come and find you.
yeah. If
Yeah,
you go to yourhigherpowerbook.com, we have our websites on there, francescarose.com, davidstarunlimited.com, um,
They'll
and
find you.
they can find us.
and
Yeah,
we started a podcast too, so everything golden. If you want to listen to us once a week, we talk about everything under the sun.
that's great. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye, everybody. Thank you for being with me. You can go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, onetrueself.com, and I'd love to hear from you. And David and Francesca, fun conversation. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Awesome.
It was so much fun.
I know.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.